J.P.Morgan is in trouble. A string of lawsuits is putting the company in jeopardy. Governments and individuals are suing J.P.Morgan because of one man, Jeffrey Epstein. Many know who this vile, despicable man is. He was the one responsible for sex trafficking and having illicit relationships with underage girls in his home in the US Virgin Islands. Epstein bought the property on the Virgin Islands for tax purposes. He needed a low-tax jurisdiction to manage money for billions of dollars worth of clients' assets. He was a rich man and he used his wealth for nefarious purposes. When Epstein's crimes were revealed, there was massive controversy, as there should have been. Many girls came forward to tell their side of the story. Epstein was about to be locked up in prison for a very long time before he chose suicide. The people of the world rejoiced when Epstein left the world in 2019, but not everyone would be happy for long. You see, in order for Epstein to carry out his crimes, he needed a bank which could facilitate those illegal money transactions, and the bank which he used for sex trafficking and the like was one J.P.Morgan Chase bank. Banks are supposed to ensure that they do not offer banking services to criminals. J.P.Morgan definitely knew this, but they helped Epstein to send payments to those underage girls who offered their body up for cash. Many people are suing J.P.Morgan for aiding Epstein. The US Virgin Islands government filed a lawsuit against J.P.Morgan last year, accusing the bank of helping Epstein with his sex trafficking transactions. They alleged that J.P.Morgan should have been more than capable of realizing the various red flags linked to Epstein's bank accounts. J.P.Morgan should have known about Epstein's illegal activities in their country. In response, J.P.Morgan Chase lawyered up. They didn't attack the victims suing the bank though. Instead, J.P.Morgan Chase is suing its ex-employee James Edward Staley, or Jess Staley for short. Jess Staley is the one who was mostly responsible for handling J.P.Morgan's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein during the 15 years when Epstein banked with J.P.Morgan. The logic is, if J.P.Morgan successfully sues Jess Staley for his relationship with Epstein and wins, then J.P.Morgan could make Jess Staley financially responsible if J.P.Morgan loses its case against the US Virgin Islands and other Epstein victims. This might seem a little scummy to go after your ex-employee. However, J.P.Morgan has reason to believe their ex-executive Jess Staley knew about Epstein's use of their banking facilities for sex trafficking. According to the 1,200 emails between Staley and Epstein, the two men were exchanging sexually suggestive messages. Epstein also sent Jess Staley photos of naked women. In one email, the former J.P.Morgan banker said, "Say hi to Snow White." Epstein asked, "What character would you like next?" When Jess Staley said, "Beauty and the Beast," Epstein replied, "Well, one side is available." The US Virgin Islands lawyers claimed those Disney princess references were code words for young women. In another email, Jess Staley said, "So when all hell breaks loose and the world is crumbling, I will come here," referring to Epstein estates in the US Virgin Islands, and be at peace. Presently, Jess Staley said, "I'm in a hot tub with a glass of white wine. This is a truly amazing place. I owe you so much, and I deeply appreciate our friendship." These are the very damning words that Jess Staley said to Epstein. J.P.Morgan has tried to dismiss the Epstein lawsuits against it. They claim the allegations concerning Jess Staley were unsupported and that any knowledge the ex-banker knew can't be blamed on the bank. Jess Staley's past with Epstein has haunted him ever since he left his job at J.P.Morgan in 2013. Staley tried to move to another country to work as the CEO of a bank in the UK called Barclays, but was forced to quit his job after the UK financial authorities began investigating his ties to Epstein. While we do have someone who has clear ties to Epstein, J.P.Morgan isn't really innocent in all of this. According to an internal email at J.P.Morgan, an employee claimed Epstein's bank account, which had roughly $120 million in it, was about to be shut down after he pleaded guilty to asking a minor for prostitution. The J.P.Morgan employee in the email said Epstein's account will be closed pending Dimon's review. Not only was Epstein's bank account at J.P.Morgan not shut down, he would remain a customer of the bank for 5 more years. This Dimon person, who was supposed to make the decision to shut down Epstein's bank account completely, was actually J.P.Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon. Many are alleging that the CEO of J.P.Morgan might be personally involved with Epstein's use of the bank's services to send money for sex trafficking. J.P.Morgan actually responded to the accusations and said there was no evidence of a review for Epstein's bank account. Unfortunately for Jamie Dimon, the people suing him have managed to get him deposed. It means federal prosecutors are going to interview Jamie Dimon under oath because of J.P.Morgan's decision to keep offering banking services to Jeffrey Epstein after his crimes were revealed. Jamie Dimon has to give his sworn testimony, which could be used as evidence against J.P.Morgan Bank. This was something J.P.Morgan's lawyers fought desperately to prevent. So far, there is no evidence that Jamie Dimon talked to Epstein before, but if he did, he's legally required to tell everyone at the deposition. J.P.Morgan has been haunted by Epstein's ghost for many years, and they should be. They helped Epstein pay hush money for prostitution. Why J.P.Morgan never closed Epstein's account, we will never know. Perhaps it was the deals and clients that Epstein brought in to J.P.Morgan. Perhaps it was Jess Staley helping out a friend, a very horrible friend. If only J.P.Morgan had stopped providing financial services to Epstein the minute he was arrested for sex trafficking like everyone expected them to do, then the bank might not have had to deal with the lawsuits it has now. The only consolation J.P.Morgan Bank has is that a fellow bank called Deutsche Bank has also been sued because of their connections to Epstein. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one.